You know, when we look at Australia's biggest companies, we often see this one thing, a single cybersecurity score. But what if I told you that a good score might actually be, well, a bit of a red herring? What if it's hiding some really massive risks? That's what we're going to get into today. We're going to peel back the layers and find out what's really going on. And you know, the timing for this couldn't be more critical because things are about to get real. Come 2025, a new Cybersecurity Act is rolling out, and it's set to change, well, pretty much everything. For Australia's top businesses, the old playbook, yeah, you can toss that out the window. We're talking about a whole new ballgame. And this quote right here, it nails it. Having tools is no longer equivalent to being protected. It's not enough anymore to just have a stack of fancy security tools. Now you have to prove you're actually safe, from top to bottom. It's a fundamental shift in thinking. Okay, so on paper, the numbers look pretty good. The average security score for the ASX 200 is sitting at 728.5 out of 950. That's a solid B rating. And hey, it's even a little bit better than last year, so that means progress, right? Well, that rising number immediately makes me ask, what is it actually hiding? Because a single score can be the perfect smokescreen for some pretty serious vulnerabilities. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into. All right, so let's dive right in. A rising score, a hidden risk. We're going to start by taking a much closer look at that number, because with these new regulations pushing for way more transparency, it's time to figure out what these ratings really tell us about a company's defenses. And make no mistake, this isn't just some problem for the IT department to solve anymore. The new act mandates that companies have to report breaches within a super strict 72-hour window. 72 hours. That means you absolutely cannot afford to be caught off guard. You need to know your security situation inside and out 24/7. It's a business issue now. So, the big question is, how do we get the real story? The answer is we have to look beyond that single score. We're going to break this down into what I'm calling the 3 hidden dimensions of risk. This is what shows you what's really happening behind the curtain. And here they are. First, you've got the attacker's view. Think of this as your constantly shifting digital footprint. Second is the supply chain view, which is all about the risk you inherit from your partners and vendors. And third, the dark web view, which is all about tracking your company's stolen data out there in the wild. Okay, so let's start with the attacker's view. And wow, this number is just wild. In a single month, the top 200 companies in Australia can add or remove up to 14,000 internet-facing assets. We're talking servers, cloud services, you name it. That is a massive amount of constant change. This constant churn, it has a name, attack surface volatility. And here's the best way to think about it. It's not just about how many doors and windows your house has, it's about how often new ones are being added and old ones are being left unlocked. See, every single one of those changes creates a new potential window of opportunity for an attacker to just waltz right in. All right, next up, the supply chain. And folks, this is a big one. Think about this. When 90% of your top companies are all using the same software platforms, a single weak link in one of them can have a catastrophic effect on almost everyone. It's like a massive domino effect, just waiting for a little push. And now for the dark web view. And honestly, this is where things get seriously scary. At the end of 2025, 1 in every 10 of Australia's top companies had active malware on their employees' computers. And what was it doing? It was actively stealing their usernames and passwords. And you can see right here which industries are getting hit the hardest. We're talking industrials, finance, real estate. The big takeaway is this. Attackers don't need to be master hackers anymore, trying to break down the door. They can just go online, buy a key on the dark web, and walk right in. So, this focus on a single, simple score, it leads to a really dangerous habit. We call it the ignore and react cycle. And it's this never-ending loop of temporary, panicked fixes that never actually solve the root problem. It's just papering over the cracks until the next big crisis hits. And you can see it happening in real time right here. Some major incident happens, like the CrowdStrike outage in July 2024. Suddenly everyone scrambles, security scores spike up. But then, things get quiet. And by January, those gains start to decay. And then, bam, the Salesforce attacks happen in March, and the scores spike all over again. It's a roller coaster. Look, this ignore and react cycle is just an absolutely terrible way to handle security. It's not sustainable. It's like waiting for your neighbor's house to actually burn to the ground before you go out and buy a fire extinguisher. You're always playing catch up with the bad guys. And in that game, you are always going to lose. So, how do we break this unsustainable cycle? Well, the answer is a totally new approach. It's called Cyber Risk Posture Management, or CRPM for short. And it's all about getting ahead of the game, proactively taking control of your security instead of just constantly reacting to one fire after another. And this comparison here shows you exactly what that shift looks like. See, the old way, the reactive way, is like going to the doctor for a checkup once a year and just hoping for the best. The new CRPM way, it's like having a Fitbit for your entire company's security. It's constantly monitoring everything in real time and helping you fix problems before they even have a chance to start. The real key here is to see the whole picture. It's all about connecting the dots, your own systems, your vendors' systems, the threats lurking on the dark web, and weaving all that information together into a single, understandable, and actionable plan. All right, so let's bring this all together. From a reading to a true posture, what's our final takeaway here? Well, it all comes down to a fundamental shift in how we think about security. We have got to stop focusing on that single, static number and start looking at the real, dynamic, ever-changing picture of our security. So, what can you actually do about it? Well, it comes down to tackling those 3 hidden risks we talked about head-on. You close the attacker's view with continuous real-time scanning. You close the supply chain view by moving to live vendor risk monitoring. And you close the dark web view by deploying tools to actively hunt for and revoke your company's stolen credentials instantly. And this really is the key difference. A rating is just a snapshot. It's a photograph taken at one specific moment in time, and it often hides all that chaotic volatility we talked about. But a true security posture, that's like a live video feed. It's dynamic, it's continuous, and it shows you the whole story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And all of this leaves us with one final, and I think critical question. You've seen the ratings, you've seen what they can hide. So the real question you need to ask is, for your own organization, do you know your rating, or do you truly know your posture?